There are now 20 Amazon marketplaces, and with programs like FBA where your location doesn't even matter, where should you sell? I selected 5 products. 2 are best sellers and 3 are super niche products like private label sellers would sell. I then searched each of those 5 on each marketplace to establish the average monthly revenue sellers are making from selling those products, the average sell price, whether that's high or low, and the average review count to establish competition level. So whether you want to sell in the marketplace with the lowest review counts, the marketplace where you can charge the highest sell price, or the marketplace where you can make the highest revenue, by the end of this video you will know where every single marketplace sits for each of those 3. If you're a regular viewer, you may notice the format of this video is a bit different. That's because I have an exciting project I am going to share with you, not in this video, but very, very soon. So make sure you are subscribed, notifications on, because I think you're going to love that. As always, a like is always appreciated. Get a coffee for this one and let's begin. So with all the available marketplaces, where should you sell? Well, let's split these up into regions. You have the Americas, Europe, Middle East and North Africa, and Asia Pacific. So these are the main 4 regions. Let's look at the marketplaces within each of those regions. You've got the Americas, 4 marketplaces with USA, Canada, Mexico, and Brazil. Europe has the most at 9 marketplaces: Germany, UK, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Poland, Sweden, and Turkey. Middle East and North Africa, 3 here with the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. Lastly, Asia Pacific with 7, Japan, Australia, Singapore, India. Then there's Amazon Thailand, Taiwan, and South Korea, and these are a bit different. They're not actual active marketplaces because these are manufacturing regions. Amazon helps sellers in these regions sell on international marketplaces. So we aren't actually going to count these 3. Minus those last 3, and we have our 20 primary marketplaces. Also important here, especially if you're using FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, then you want to keep in mind that inventory is generally going to ship directly from your supplier to the FBA fulfillment center in your chosen marketplace. What that means is that your personal location shouldn't really impact your marketplace choice here. But when you sign up, there's also unified accounts. It's best to try and sign up for a unified account if it's available in the marketplaces that you're choosing. This signs you up for all the marketplaces in that one region. Then you can switch between them very easily on Seller Central using this drop-down. Currently, there is the North American Unified account and the European Unified account. The others are separate, so they're going to be standalone and require their own sign-up. Now, the North American Unified account holds the US, Canada, and Mexico, while the European one holds the UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Netherlands, Poland, Sweden, and Turkey. Whew. So now let's do a marketplace comparison. We're going to compare each marketplace on demand, competition, and support. Now with demand, we're going to compare each marketplace on the monthly sales that they make with specific products, and we're going to get into those examples in a second. Also, the number of monthly visits by customers to that marketplace and the annual net sales generated by the marketplace. In terms of competition, we're going to compare each again in terms of the average review counts for both mainstream products, so the very popular ones, but also niche products, those ones hidden way down in the niches, and the average sell price again for those same groups of products. Quickly, before we jump into marketplace performance, it's also important to look at marketplace support. And I noticed this heavily while actually putting together the content for this video. For example, when you're researching product software, very valuable. That's because it's going to, one, speed up your research, but also give you accurate data which you can base decisions on. Some marketplaces are well supported with many tools and very accurate estimates, as you can see on Amazon.com here. For each product, we have a solid sales figure. Other marketplaces have limited support. They're going to work, but not perfectly. And you're especially going to struggle when you start looking into niche products, those with less demand. For example, here, this is Australia. There are some gaps in the sales numbers. Now, that could be just because demand's that low that there's just no sales, but then it should also say 0, not NA. Sometimes you know a product selling really well, but it still says NA. And so you start to get gaps in the data like that. And then there's other marketplaces with no support whatsoever. You can have no software. And without that data, you're going to need to resort to lengthy workarounds like using the best sellers list, things like that. And so I compiled a list here of everything. If it says tools, that means it actually has software tools. In some cases, it's only supported by Helium 10, and then it's going to say H10 only. I've also italicized those ones. And lastly, it might say manual, in which case that means no software. You're going to have to use a manual approach. Having just used a range of softwares across all of these, I can rank them in terms of how easy is it going to be for you to do your research there. First of all, these are the top 6. This is where it's going to be easiest for you in terms of peripherals that support your business. So these are great. Then the next list here. Now with these, they have software support, so you can use Jungle Scout or Helium 10 on these. However, what I found particularly when you get into the niche, lower demand areas, you start to see a lot of gaps. You don't have the same consistency of our ones in the great category here. These ones are okay. Then we have these 3, only supported by Helium 10, that's why they're italicized. And here, it's quite difficult to get consistent data. These are a bit more limited. Lastly, these 7, where there is no support whatsoever in terms of the major software platforms. So none. And these are the ones we're going to exclude from today's comparison because it's just too difficult to do a good comparison if I'm using tools on the other 13. So we're going to focus on all of those up to UAE here. So let's get into the product comparison. Now using 5 products, we're going to compare each marketplace on the average monthly revenue that sellers achieve with these products. So yes, I've literally searched all of these products on every marketplace. Then we're also going to look at the average review count and the average sell price. This way you can assess each marketplace on, is there enough demand to justify me entering there? Are there too many competitors, too high of review counts? And what's the price competition like? Can I charge enough for my products, or are there heavy price wars? And we're going to be doing this for 2 of the best selling products on Amazon, as you see on the right, and 3 niche products on Amazon. So lower demand, this is when we start to see gaps in the data and can test that functionality. But also these are very important for private label sellers. So let's begin with the first product here. I've gathered the numbers from each marketplace in terms of average revenue here. And you can pause at any point throughout. I'm going to move quite quickly. But average revenue, this is something that of course we want to be higher because we want to be able to make a significant amount of sales. That makes all the effort and time put into a product worth it. So let's look at the top 5. No surprises, the highest is the US, followed by UK, Japan, Canada, and Germany. Japan through Germany really similar here. Now if we look at the average price, so what are sellers able to charge for this same type of product across the markets? You can see all of those shown here. Now with price, this is something again we want higher. Higher is better because it's going to allow us to charge a premium. It tells us customers aren't so price sensitive and allows us, of course, to cover fees and make more profit. So the highest 3, surprisingly topping the list, Mexico, then Italy and France. So which are the worst here? Where is there the most price pressure? The worst performer here, India, then the UAE, and then the US. And on to the last step here, average reviews. Now with average reviews, this one's different. We want this to be as low as possible because that allows us easier entry into markets with no reviews at the beginning. So our lowest 3 here. The lowest and the surprise, India, followed by Italy and then the UAE. And the worst performers here, where average reviews are the highest. No surprises, the first one is the US, then Canada, and then the UK. So that concludes the comparison for product 1. Let's move on to product 2. Again, starting with average revenue per month. Our highest 5, the US, Germany, UK, France, and Italy. Then looking at average price, highest 3, the best performers, Italy, France, and Mexico. The worst performers here, UAE, Germany, and Canada. Onto our average reviews. Our lowest 3, UAE, Australia, and Italy. And our worst performers where reviews are highest, the US, Germany, and Canada. That concludes product 2 and our 2 mainstream products. Now we move on to the first of the niche products. We begin with our Zen garden kit here, and we're looking at average revenue. Dropping all of those in, our best 5 here. Higher is better. USA in first place, then Germany, UK, Spain, and Italy. On to average price. Now I've just structured this one a bit differently, but let's look at the top 3. In first place we have Japan, followed by India, and then Mexico. In the bottom position we have the UK, followed by Germany, and then Spain. On to average reviews. In first place we have Japan, followed by the UK, and then India. And our worst performers here, the highest average review counts. In bottom position the US again, then France, and then Spain. That concludes our first niche product. Let's move on to the second one here with average revenue. Our top performers here, in first place US, then the UK, Spain, Canada, and Italy. An average price. In first place the Netherlands, then France and Japan. In bottom position we have Germany, followed by the US, and then the UK. Average reviews here, our best performer, Germany, followed by the UK and then Australia. In bottom position we have Italy, followed by Canada and then Japan. And that brings us to our 5th and final product here. This power tool organizer, looking at average revenue. The highest 5, the US, followed by Germany, UK, Spain, and then France. On pricing here, top performer is Netherlands, seeing a trend here, followed by Italy and then India. In bottom position we have Canada, then the US, followed by Japan. And on reviews, our best performer, Japan, followed by the UAE and then Canada. And our worst performer here, Germany, followed by Spain and then France. So let's draw some demand conclusions from all of this research. First of all, the number of times a marketplace actually featured in the highest 5 for that average revenue. The US featured 5 times out of 5, same for the UK. Germany 4 times, Spain 3, Italy 3, Canada twice, same for France, and Japan once. Overall, the marketplaces with the highest demand in terms of actual sales volumes here. The US, no surprise, followed by Germany and the UK. Then we have Spain, France, and Canada. And personally, Spain was quite a surprise in my research. The sales volumes were quite good there, particularly with niche products. So let's look at the number of times a marketplace featured in the lowest 3 for average reviews, which of course we want lower, means lower competition. The UAE wins this one by featuring 3 times out of 5. That's followed by Italy, which featured twice. The same for Australia, Japan, India, and the UK. Below that we have Germany and Canada, both featuring once. And let's look at the inverse, so the number of times a marketplace featured in the highest 3 for average reviews, the highest competition. No surprises, the worst performer here is the US, 3 times out of 5. The same for Canada, then we have Spain featuring twice. The same for France and Germany. Finally, we have the UK, Italy, and Japan each featuring once out of 5 here. So the most competitive marketplaces in terms of review counts. Number 1, the US. Number 2 is Canada. 3 is Germany. 4th, UK. 5th is France. And in 6th, we have Spain. And the least competitive marketplaces in terms of reviews, the UAE. 2nd lowest is the Netherlands. 3rd lowest is Australia. 4th, India. And in 5th, we have Italy. So let's look at the number of times a marketplace featured in the highest 3 in terms of average sell price. Higher is better. In first place, we have Italy. That's followed by France and Mexico. In 4th, we have the Netherlands. In 5th, India. And in 6th, we have Japan. And so based on this research, these are the marketplaces where you could charge the highest sell prices. And perhaps we can assume where you'd see the least price wars. Let's look at the number of times a marketplace featured in the lowest 3 for average sell price. So this is where you're going to see the most price cutting. Topping the list here, we have the US 3 times out of 5. Germany matching that. Then we have Canada 2 times. The UK the same. And the UAE matching that. Next we have India, Japan, and Spain, all featuring 1 time out of 5. The most price-sensitive markets in terms of dollar amounts. So I actually went and looked at the dollar amounts charged between all of these on average. Our most price-sensitive market, Germany. That's followed by Canada, then the UK, and then the US. Germany and Canada being standouts here because for some products they don't often have very high sales volumes, yet pricing seems to be under quite a bit of pressure here. In a moment, I'm going to put all of this together into marketplace insights for you. Before that, let's quickly look at customer visits per month. We're going to begin with the Americas region. You can see the marketplace, for example, the US, and the visits per month in terms of millions. So that's actually 2.2 billion. Then we have Canada, 150 million, Mexico, and Brazil. Then the same here in terms of Europe. The top 5 here do see way more traffic than the bottom 4. And the same for Asia Pacific. Singapore actually having the lowest number of visits overall. Lastly, the Middle East, which more or less matches some of the smaller European markets. Now if we just order all of those in a list, so quite a significant drop off after Spain at 130 million. Also quite a big step down from the top 5 indicated here. US, Japan, Germany, UK and India. But those are just visits. What about sales? Annual marketplace sales, and we're going to be using the 2022 sales numbers here. Our top 5, the US 356 billion. We also have Japan here, Germany, UK and India. Now I'm not going to put this together for every market. The rest of the world, so you just have reference here, is 64.2 billion. And quickly looking at our lowest 3, we got Saudi Arabia, Sweden and Singapore. So now putting everything together, I want to give you a couple key marketplace insights here. USA, Germany and Canada have the highest review counts. UAE, Netherlands, Australia, India and Italy are where you're going to find the lowest review counts. Italy, France, Mexico and the Netherlands are the best if you wish to charge the highest price possible or avoid competitor price wars at all costs. The US, Germany, Canada, UK and the UAE see the most downward pressure on price. The US, Germany and the UK are the best if you want to sell as many units as possible. These have the highest demand levels. And the same product will sell about 5 times more in the US than in the UK. And this was pretty consistent across all 5 products. Spain, France and Canada are best if you want lower competition, but with the next best sales volumes. So these are the best alternative markets, if you will. The Netherlands and the UAE have the lowest sales volumes, followed by Australia, then Mexico, India, and finally Italy. Spain appears the best alternative marketplace for niche products. The US, Germany, UK, Canada, France and Spain are best if you want maximum software support and actionable data while researching products. And overall, the 6 best marketplaces, in my opinion. You can of course sell anywhere, but after this evaluation I have a lot more insight on each as well. The US, UK, Germany, Canada, Spain and France. The top 3 mainstream markets are the US, UK and Germany. And the top 3 alternatives, if you want to call them that, are Spain, France and Canada. Again, I found Spain to be quite a surprising marketplace here. But based on this, you could sign up for a North American unified account, giving you access to the US and Canada, also Mexico. Or a European unified account, which is going to give you access to the UK, Germany, Spain and France, as well as many others. But my number 1 recommendation would still be the USA with a North American unified account, primarily for 3 reasons. 1, greater demand with substantially higher sales volumes, and especially if you're a private label seller, each product takes a ton of time and energy researching, developing, designing, setting up relationships, and so you want that to be worth it. And it's going to be worth it when there's enough sales, when you're able to turn enough stock for that to make a significant amount of revenue and hopefully profit. You're more likely to achieve that in the US than in some of the smaller markets. Of course, the US is the most competitive, but that's where your product research comes in, and doing good product research, focusing on niche products. And just keep in mind, each product had to start with 0 reviews. New innovations are created each year. So every year, products have to land on Amazon for the first time. And the second reason here, this is going to be because there's less red tape, also easier regional expansion in North America when compared to Europe. And thirdly, greater support. And that's because a large number of softwares and services, peripherals, all focus on the US market first, which makes your life a lot easier. That concludes our list of all of the marketplaces. But those are just my thoughts, and I would love to hear from you because many of you guys sell in all different markets. What have you found? What's been your experience? Please do comment below. But I do hope this video gave you insight on every single Amazon marketplace, maybe helped you make your marketplace decision if you're kind of torn between 2 or 3. If it did help you with any of that, please click like. But more importantly, subscribe to the channel with notifications on. You don't want to miss the next video. I think you'll find it very valuable. Appreciate you spending your time with me through this one, and I'll catch you in the next video.